Today, we're going to open a door, but not to some other place. It's a door to a completely different way of being. We're stepping into the deep, profound stillness that Eckhart Tolle talks about in The Power of Now. And really, this isn't just about a book. It's more like an invitation to shift your whole consciousness, to move from all that noise in the mind to the simple peace of the present moment.
Just let that land for a second. A storm of thoughts. You know that inner narrator, the one that's always on, judging, worrying, replaying things? For so many of us, that's just the constant background noise of our lives. But what if it's optional? What if underneath that entire storm, there's a quiet space? That's the space we're going to be exploring. So if you're on a journey to find a little more of that inner stillness, you're in the right place.
You see, this constant mental noise, it's not just a distraction. It actually creates this state of almost non-stop anxiety. It's like having a little tormentor in your head, constantly caught between a past you can't change and a future you're afraid of, and it just drains you. It's this feeling of being trapped, not by actual walls, but by the relentless spinning of your own mind.
And all this inner turmoil, it's not just unpleasant. Tolle says it's a kind of deep suffering. It's a broken relationship with life itself, a state where we're constantly, and usually unconsciously, resisting what's actually happening. We get caught in our own little whirlpools, unable to join the real flow of life because we're too busy fighting the currents inside our own heads.
And this right here is the core promise of Eckhart Tolle's work. It suggests that peace, it's not something you have to go out and achieve through a huge struggle. It's not some prize you win later on. It's a dimension that's already inside you. It's just been covered up by all the noise, and it's waiting to be discovered. Not tomorrow, not next year, but right here, right now.
To really get this teaching, you almost have to understand the man it came from. Tolle's story isn't just some background information. It's this powerful proof that this kind of radical shift from the depths of suffering to real, profound peace is actually possible. Can you just imagine a depression so deep that he called it almost unbearable? A life that felt like a constant torment. He talks about his younger self living with this non-stop anxiety, always thinking about ending it. I mean, he was at the absolute rock bottom of despair. And then one night, this whole inner conflict just reached a breaking point. Think about that for a second. It's so simple but so profound. It splits your whole idea of yourself in two. Wait a minute. If I cannot live with myself, then there must be two of me. There's the I, and then there's the self that this I can't stand. And that one simple, spontaneous question, it became the key that unlocked everything.
In that moment of just asking the question, the whole structure of his identity, that egoic self, with all its problems and all its heaviness, it just fell away. And what was left wasn't some new idea or philosophy. It was a direct experience. It was just pure awareness, an observing presence, completely free from the weight of a personal story. So after this incredible awakening, Tolle's life just completely changed. He spent the next 2 years in what he calls a state of deep bliss. A lot of that time was just spent sitting on park benches in London, just watching the world go by. No job, no plan, no home. He wasn't trying to get anywhere. He was just being. And that period of stillness, it wasn't empty. It was full of peace. And eventually, people started noticing this unusual calm about him, and they'd come up and ask him questions. And out of those quiet little conversations, the teachings that would become The Power of Now started to form. The book came out in '97 to almost no attention, but its quiet power just spread and spread until it was discovered by Oprah Winfrey. She championed it, and that just catapulted it into this global phenomenon, reaching something like 35 million people through their webinars alone. All right, so let's get into the first big idea. Tolle argues that the real fundamental cause of our unhappiness is this deep addiction to what he calls psychological time. Basically, our minds are constantly trying to escape this very moment. And here, Tolle makes this really crucial distinction. He separates your life situation from your actual life. See, your life situation, that's the story your mind is telling you. It's a whole collection of past memories, future worries, goals, anxieties. But your life, the real, actual, tangible experience of being alive, that can only ever happen in one place, right now. Think about it. There was never a time when your life wasn't now, and there never will be. So the mind uses the past to give you an identity.
It keeps replaying old stories, old hurts, old regrets, keeping you chained to a version of you that isn't even here anymore. And then it uses the future as either this promise of salvation or a threat of disaster. It makes you believe that happiness, or doom, is just around the corner. And by living in all these mental movies, we completely miss the only thing that's ever real: this moment. So what is it that creates this whole illusion of time and just loves to feed on it? Well, that brings us to the next big point: the voice in your head, what Tolle defines as the ego. Okay, so when Tolle says ego, he doesn't just mean being arrogant or selfish. He's talking about something much, much deeper. It's the state where we are completely identified with form: our thoughts, our emotions, our job title, our body. It's when our sense of me gets completely tangled up with that voice in our head. We actually believe we are that voice. And that, Tolle says, is the main mistake: this illusion of being separate that can turn life into a constant struggle. The ego keeps its grip on us through these specific, unconscious habits. Complaining and getting reactive. That strengthens its sense that it's a victim. Needing to be right and making other people wrong. That props up its fragile sense of being superior. In those moments, we're not just thinking a thought, we are defending an identity. It can feel like we're fighting for our very survival, and if you recognize any of this in yourself, you're definitely not alone. It's a core part of the human condition that these teachings are all about.
And this leads to one of Tolle's most fascinating ideas, the pain body. He describes it as kind of the emotional twin of the ego. Imagine it as this residue of every strong negative emotion you've ever had that you didn't fully process and release. This old pain all clumps together into this, well, he calls it a semi-autonomous energy field that lives in your body. It can be dormant for a while, but then it wakes up and it's hungry. And when it's active, it wants more pain. It might deliberately provoke a fight with someone you love or make you replay a hurtful memory over and over, all so it can feed on that negative energy and get stronger, keeping that cycle of suffering going.
So, okay, we've got the illusion of time, the ego, the pain body. It can all sound a little bit grim, but the solution Tolle offers is actually radically simple. It's not about fighting your mind. It's about rising above it. It's about discovering the power of presence. Presence isn't some state you have to achieve. It's who you already are deep down. Think of it like this. Your thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky. You're not the clouds. You are the sky, that vast, open, silent awareness in which all the clouds appear and then disappear. This awareness, this conscious presence, that is the end of suffering. So the big question is, how do we get there? Well, the practice itself is simple. You just start by noticing the compulsive thinking. You listen to that voice in your head, but like an impartial witness. You don't judge it, you don't argue with it, you just notice, oh, there it is. The very moment you start observing the thinker, a higher level of consciousness activates. You suddenly realize, there's the voice, and here I am listening to it. And this I am. It's not a thought, it is the feeling of your own presence. This is such a brilliant way to picture it. Your attention, when you bring it fully into the present moment, becomes like this flame. It is the flame of consciousness itself. And when you shine this flame on the unconscious patterns of the ego or the pain body, they just can't survive in its light. The light of your awareness is all you need. You don't have to fight the darkness. You just have to turn on the light. Let's just try this right now, for a second. Beyond all the noise, beyond the thoughts, the emotions, beyond your whole life story, can you feel the simple fact that you are? That simple feeling of being alive, of I am? That is presence, and that is the beginning of real freedom. So accessing this state of presence, it isn't just for when you're meditating on a cushion. Its true power really shows up when we bring it into our everyday lives, because it fundamentally changes how we relate to the world. This is where we learn to live with a sense of grace and ease. Living in the now means practicing what Tolle calls surrender. Now, that word can be really misunderstood. It doesn't mean giving up or being a doormat. True surrender is just the simple, profound wisdom of yielding to the flow of life instead of constantly fighting it. It means giving an inner yes to the present moment, no matter what it looks like. It doesn't mean you can't take action to change things, but it means you first accept the isness of this moment without that inner resistance. And when you accept what is, you end the war inside yourself. And from that place of peace, really intelligent, empowered action can happen. And this really is the ultimate point. Life isn't a journey from A to B. Life is not the story of your past or the promise of your future. Life is this moment. The feeling of the air on your skin, the sensation in your body, the sounds around you. This is it.
Everything else, your problems, your identity, your struggles, is just a story. So we'll leave you with this question to reflect on. Is it a relationship, maybe your job, or is it just that inner dialogue? Where in your life is the storm of thought the loudest? And where might a little doorway to stillness be waiting for you to open it? If this exploration resonated with you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. The journey into presence, it's really the most essential one we can ever take.